when there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them, if they need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I'm Andy Signor, and I'm so excited because we got a great show for you today. Some amazing guests. Look who's here. We got Christopher Melcher, attorney at law, back again, along with It's Kim. How are you both doing? Christopher, I'll start with you. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, it's great. I've been crazy busy, but good to be here with you.
Always happy when you make some time for us. And Kim, aren't you glad Christopher's here? How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing good. No, it's been a good day so far, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm glad that Melcher's here, and I think we're going to have a great show today. So
we got two big cases to go through legally. I'm excited to get his thoughts on it. And then I am going to talk to him a little bit, even though I know he's not as versed on Miss Bouzy nonsense, because now apparently Nick Rekieta is off of Twitter. Yes, everyone keeps alerting me. We're going to talk about what happened, why. But before we get to all that, yes, I'm safe still. Tonight is when the rain starts here in Tampa Bay. So thanks for all the wishes again. Hopefully tonight it just happens overnight and then everything's okay. Fingers crossed. Sending out all my positivity and love to all my folks here in Florida as the Ian comes and comes on the coastal lines. So send your positive energy over to us to make sure everyone stays safe here on the coast of Tampa Bay and all of Florida. But so far, so good. Tonight, we'll see. Ask me again tomorrow. In the meanwhile, we're live. So far, so good. The internet should be good today. Tomorrow may be questionable. We'll see. But happy to be with you guys. So thank you so much for being here on your Tuesday. This is Tuesday now, right? Yes. Losing track of my days. Tuesday as we go through this case. All right. So, Christopher, let's start. We have two cases I want to go through. Shakira. Oh, baby, don't you talk like that. It's just get hard to, whenever I say her name, I go in the whole rant. I'm a fan. She's great, but she might be in prison. Is that what we're seeing? The thread you did, and Alec Baldwin, both of them are prison. Before we go into these, I want to get a Christopher Melcher prediction. Who is more likely to go behind bars out of these two in your mind? Before we even get into them, Alec Baldwin or Shakira?
Alec Baldwin. He killed somebody. Shakira, didn't pay her taxes in Spain when they were due. She was called out on it, and she has paid an enormous sum. I mean, I lost track, but it's like $40 million in taxes and interest. Hey, that's a huge amount of money in taxes to pay. She didn't kill anybody. She shouldn't be going to jail for that.
All right, so we'll start with the looser one then. So Shakira is a little less worried. It sounds like Alec more worried. But so basically 8 years in prison and a $23 million fine in Spain for tax fraud. Hips don't lie, denies the charges, but Spain says her tax forms do lie. I love that, Christopher. Well written. Let's break it down. So in Spain, over the 184 days in a year of subjects the residents to tax on her worldwide income, Shakira claims she did not become a Spanish resident until 2015 and was a tax resident in the Bahamas prior years. So this is really because she's not in Spain, she therefore doesn't owe them taxes. Is that the argument here?
Well, that's her argument, and wealthy people have been doing this for years, and it's been exposed, in these Paradise Papers, and that went through and showing the lengths that very wealthy people have done to avoid paying taxes where they live. And they'll go to a tax haven like the Bahamas and say, this is where I live, and they'll pay very little taxes on their income. And hey, I don't blame them for wanting to reduce their income, but the problem is when she's living in Spain, which she was absolutely doing more than 6 months of the year, based on the records that the Spanish government produced, and you can see there's like a little chart there that shows how many days she was spending right there. And those all in red, those are years 2011 to 2014 to show how many days she was actually in Spain. So she's there living in Spain and not paying any taxes there. Until she made up, like I say, about $40 million. And the problem is that the Spanish government, is providing services to her. She's benefiting from living in that beautiful country, but was contributing nothing to the services that the government has to provide. So, and it's really on the backs of people who don't have expensive accountants and lawyers that end up paying the bill for all the government services. So that's the thing that's offensive about it. They caught her. She, eventually paid And we're talking probably now $40 million that she's paid to the Spanish government. So it's like, yeah, she messed up. She's paid her dues. And now they're basically saying, well, we want more from you. We want some jail time or some other fines. And I understand what they're saying, but it seems a little overreaching at this point based on that gigantic payment that she's made.
Well, yeah, I actually didn't even realize with all the headlines, I didn't realize she paid the bulk of the money already back. I mean, it feels like, well, then what's the issue? Yeah, I mean, clearly she, was trying to hide it or get away with it, but she paid it back. They found it. Okay, even if they're like, fine her for the interest or whatever, you have to pay this. Yeah, why the prison time? Is Spain just being tough?
Yeah, I think it's just the hammer. And look, I also, like I say, I can see it from their side because taxes mostly comes down to, it's a voluntary thing. We all fill out our tax return. We hopefully are honest on those returns. We pay the money. And, the government doesn't have the ability to go audit everybody's tax return chasing after them. So we're really on the honor system here. And if somebody says, hey, I'm not going to pay taxes, and we're talking a gigantic amount of income to produce $40 million in taxes. So she's just saying, hey, I'm a Bahama resident. I ain't going to pay you guys anything. That's the game she played for years. And then to get caught and then just saying, oh, okay, well, I'll pay the money. And she paid some interest. If that's the only consequence, then, well, hey, we should all just cheat on our taxes because if we get caught, we'll just have to pay the amount that we owed, maybe some interest. So the Spanish government is trying to make an example out of her so that other people are scared into compliance. And so I think that's what's happening.
I mean, it makes sense. It's also just entirely frustrating how the taxes just completely, hey, you need to know exactly what you made, and we're not going to tell you how much you're going to have to pay us. Taxes are so frustrating. You think it would be more easy for them to sort of just like, here's what you owe and here's what it is. But no, it's not. The honor systems, it's more than the honor system. Sometimes it's so damn complicated what they expect you to really keep a track of and pay and quarterly. And oh my God, it's maddening. But yeah, anyway, so it sounds like she's in trouble, but probably won't face jail time. They're going to do something. They want to clearly have something strict. And I see where you're coming from, but she's paid. Prison time, not likely in your mind, you think?
That's right. I mean, maybe she does a hostage video like, don't you cheat on your taxes in Spain. They're going to come after you.
Oh, God, poor Johnny. All right, well, there's one. So Shakira, I guess we're unlocking Shakira out of the prison. She might get out of this. Now, we got to go back to Alec Baldwin. Now, the DA has made it pretty clear, it seems, based on what you've read, and we covered this a little bit yesterday, it sure seems like she's admitting, yeah, Alec Baldwin's about to get charged. We need the budget. There's going to be 4 separate trials they didn't really specify which other 3 individuals are, but you have a good suspicion, I imagine. Is this serious for Alec Baldwin? Do you believe he's in trouble?
Oh, yeah. And so what's unusual about it is the budget request. Most of these big celeb or high profile cases, criminal cases, happen where these folks live. New York, California, places like that, who have big prosecutor offices and big budgets. And so if you get a case in Los Angeles, well, the LA DA's office has a gigantic budget. They can handle the big old high profile case without asking, the board of supervisors, hey, we need more money here. But here, this is in Santa Fe. It happened there because that's where the film was being done. The guy, Alec doesn't live there. And so that's where the crime occurred or the death occurred. And so now this little office, Santa Fe County DA's office, is saying, we don't have the budget for this. And so we need money to prosecute this case. And to sell it, she had asked for $617,000. She said, and one of the potential defendants here is Alec Baldwin. And so normally a prosecutor is never going to mention anybody by name unless they're going to charge the person, because that's the power of the state basically naming them, and it can be very damaging. And but she went to that length because she had to convince this budgetary authority to give the money. And it's basically obvious, like, hey, if you're going to bring criminal charges against a high profile actor, we're going to need the money to do this. This person is going to bring in the best attorneys and experts the world has to offer. If she was saying, hey, I'm going to file charges against Hannah Gutierrez Reed, some young armorer who has no weight behind her at all, she's not going to need extra funding for that. So she needed to invoke Alec's name to justify the funding, and that's what leads me to believe that he is going to be charged.
Yeah, I mean, and if he's charged, then what? Because I mean, the three other people are what? Or I managed. We were talking about. I managed Hannah, right? And then there's the director, and then there's who's the fourth person?
Sarah Zachary. So that day, there's 4 people who handle the firearm. The prop master was Sarah Zachary. She grabbed the gun from a locked container and provided the cartridges, bullets. And provided that to Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who was the armor. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed left that equipment on a cart inside the church where this scene was being filmed and exited because she said she had other stuff to do. First Assistant Director David Halls then picked up the device and gave it to Alec Baldwin. Now, right there, it's a big safety violation that again, just trying not to use the actual word, but device has to always be either handled directly by the prop master or the armorer cannot leave that person's sight. And the first assistant director is not in the safety chain, has no business touching that thing at all, but he was left in charge of it. He then gave it to Alec. Alec then, used it in the scene and caused this horrific incident to occur. None of the 4 individuals acted safely with the device, and that was directly responsible for what occurred. So those are the 4 individuals that they would be charged, in my view.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, but so it says she asked for 600, they got 300. Is that going to be enough? Do you think that they were aiming higher than they needed to? Do you think this is going to be what they need?
No, it's not going to be enough. And what I think is that it was brought in as an emergency motion because their funding, I don't know when their funding cycle happens, but apparently the charges are going to be filed and the expenses are going to be incurred before the next budget round happens. And so my sense is that the county said, look, maybe let's just give you this money to get started, and then we'll see how it goes. And then they can always add to that later. And so the prosecutor is going to need, and she already laid out, basically she's got, prosecutor time. So she may need, to hire another prosecutor to assist her. She's got expert witnesses on firearm safety in a film set, and also the actual device itself that needs to be, somebody testify to. I know the FBI was involved, but they may need to hire a private expert on that. And then also she's saying media relations because, when something like this happens, they're getting called by every media outlet across the world. And not that they want to give statements about it, but they have to manage the flow of information. And hopefully it would be done something like we saw in the court of Virginia, which was great about they took court filings that are public records and they posted them available for all of us that we didn't have to pay for. So hopefully they're going to do something like that. Hopefully it'd be televised too, but we haven't got to that point.
So I was just going to ask, so if this does proceed and she's going out, so there would be 4 separate trials, or does she put them all in one trial? Do you know how that would work?
So there was some mention about 4 separate trials. Look, in a criminal case, they do need to ensure the rights of the accused, and sometimes that requires that co-defendants be charged separately. Sometimes what we'll do in LA is we'll have 4 separate juries. So we'll have one trial and we'll have 4 separate juries. And the point there is that if information about one defendant is too prejudicial for the other juries to hear for this other defendant. So let me back up. There's one jury assigned to each defendant.
Wow. And they all sit in the courtroom?
It gets
That's
crazy.
nuts.
But that way, instead of doing 4 sequential trials, we do one trial. We have a jury assigned to each defendant. And that way, if there's information about one defendant that would be too prejudicial for the other defendant's jury to hear, we excuse that jury, take the evidence. It's mind-boggling complex. But here, I don't know that they need to go to that level of detail, but she's saying she may need to have 4 separate trials.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. And then the obvious reaction in Alec is clearly from my vibe, it really just seemed like he thought he was going to get away with this. Like I don't know, just the interviews, the hubris of him, it was just so weird. Do you think those interviews and stuff sort of maybe put more pressure on the DA to be like, all right, dude, you are now in trouble. Why on earth were you saying these things? Do you think if he had just stayed silent, he might have, gotten away with this?
Well, it makes, look, I mean, whatever he did is to be measured at the moment that he had that thing in his hand and it went off. Whatever he said afterwards is technically not relevant, but to me, it was really surprising that he made those statements. And like you say, hubris, the bravado, saying, I didn't do anything wrong and I'm not going to be charged. I understand, like, for him to reconcile all this in his mind, I'm sure it's devastating. I couldn't imagine what he's going through. And, so he probably had to convince himself that he didn't do anything wrong so he could survive.
Right.
Because, look at what happened. But he should have been quiet. It was no place for him to be talking about whether he's going to be charged or not. And so again, it wasn't a great look. But ultimately he accepted the responsibility here by taking that thing in his hand and not checking it or allowing somebody else to ensure that it was safe, visually, physically inspecting it in his presence.
Right.
And that was a reckless act. And I think it's manslaughter.
All I know is I would not want to be paparazzi following him now, especially given his past with paparazzi. And now with this, it must be even more insane. But there's also then been this talks of he's now offloading his $29 million Hampton home to shield his assets. Do you think there might be some maneuvering here because he sees the charges looming?
It's hard to know that. I mean, I don't know what his assets look like. I don't know what the insurance is. But hey, there's going to be, there were two people who, one is gone and the other was injured. And so there's going to be tremendous liability there. Again, that film set, the production company, I'm sure had a few $1 million of insurance. I don't know that they would have enough. So,
but would that insurance click in to like protect Alec, even if it was his own fault?
Yeah, it's the insurance does cover, certainly negligent acts, and here this wasn't intentional. So the insurance doesn't cover things that are done intentionally. It doesn't cover crime, and so he's going to have an argument with his insurance company, even though he's probably going to be criminally charged for this, whether the insurance would cover, because at the end of the day, he did not intend to hurt anybody.
Right.
He acted carelessly in handling a deadly device. And so that's what makes it criminally responsible. So under the New Mexico statutes, under manslaughter, it says that if you're engaged in a lawful activity, like making a movie, but that could result in death, meaning pointing something like this at another human, then you are guilty of manslaughter if somebody perishes and you have not acted with due care. And due care is that you do not take somebody else's word that something is unloaded. That is never the use of care. That's being reckless. I did a video on this a while back when I was doing videos, but one of the comments there was, would Alec have pointed this to his own head and pulled the trigger, on reliance on David Hall's statement that this is a cold gun, meaning unloaded? Would he have said, let me check it for myself, or why don't you check it before I do that? And we just don't take somebody's word for that. That is, again, and I grew up with gun safety, and maybe I'm looking at it differently, but the movie industry has very clear rules that say that you never take anybody's word for it, that you have to either check it yourself, or if you're not comfortable or qualified to open the thing up and check it yourself, you have to have somebody do that for you and demonstrate right there. Alec, look, this is unloaded, or these little things here, these are fake. You see this? Yes, I see this. And you do that every time. And Alec, one of his statements is like, oh, well, people have been doing this on the sets for years, 100 years making movies. And it's like, yeah, how many examples do we have? Brandon Lee.
Well,
We
that
have other examples this happen.
We had other talent like George Clooney, even Nicolas Cage, all came out and as politely as they could called him out for being like, you don't just take a gun, someone's word for it. You check. I mean, I've been on limited sets myself, but the times they are, I know for a fact at the whole set shuts down when those come on set. And there's a whole like protocol. All right, I'm showing it. It's empty. Boom, boom, boom. Now handing to you. It's now has the blank or whatever thing. Like it's a whole process on those sets. And if somebody was rushing through that, then that's on them. And it's frustrating because he's a producer. He knows better. He's been through that training. That was frustrating when I was covering this case. So many people just assumed anybody who was against Baldwin and what he was doing was, oh, well, you just don't like him because he's liberal. It made it all political. It's like, I mean, that there's an irony to it all a little bit, but beyond that, it didn't matter. It's just the fact that like he knew better. He knew better. It has nothing to do with anything else. And I think there were a lot of people are starting to finally come around after all those interviews that aren't on his side because he just thought he was going to be able to smooth talk his way out of it. It was pretty gross the way he was even using the family. Like I've spoken to the dad and the kid and they're good and they're not going to come after me. Like all this stuff he was saying was just so ridiculous at the time. So I don't wish any this on anybody. I agree with you. And you said it, you can see from these photos, like this man is broken down. Like this is going to be rough. But then I'm like, is he broken down because now he realizes he's going to prison or is he broken down into what happened? It's hard to tell anymore based on the interviews and everything else. But he's paying a price regardless of what happens. And it's hard to say. Kim, did you have any comments to add to this or ask Christopher while we were on this topic?
Yeah, kind of. I know we touched on it a little bit beforehand, but just the interviews that he's done, all the things that he said, running his mouth and all that type of stuff. In the Johnny trial, we saw Johnny's team use clips of Amber in interviews to discredit her when it came to the trial. Is that something we will likely see with Alec if this does go to trial?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I guess it's going to depend on whether he takes a stand. So, in the United States, a criminal defendant has the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And so technically he can, say, I'm not going to testify, and he can't be called to the stand. And if that happens, they might play some of these clips to saying like, hey, well, he gave these interviews and here's what he said happened. But I don't think the prosecutor would do that because he's telling his story there without being subject then to cross-examination. And, that gives him an out, like basically tell his story through the George Stephanopoulos or whoever was interviewing him thing on ABC without then being subject to a cross-exam by the prosecutor. So my guess is they wouldn't use that if he elected to remain silent. If he testifies, then they would use it to the extent that he says anything on the witness stand that's inconsistent with what he said there. Basically, he's saying, hey, I didn't even put my finger on the trigger. And he's saying, I would never do that. And it went off when I cocked it. But the FBI saying that they tested it, and this is certainly going to have to be part of that trial, to test the actual device to seeing if it would just spontaneously go off if you're cocking it. Other firearm experts have used the same type of device and saying, no, that does not happen. But his statement is inconsistent in my mind because he's saying, I would never pull a trigger. Well, okay, so why would you point it at somebody in the first place? Why wouldn't you check it? So he's saying like, I would never pull the trigger. Well, it's like, well, okay, so where is the line here in his mind of safety? It's okay to point the gun, but not point the trigger. No, the safety is, the moment you put that gun in your hand, you got to check it. You don't just like point it at somebody and then say, well, I'm not worried about the condition of this firearm because I haven't pulled the trigger yet. That's ridiculous. But that's what he's saying.
Okay.
Super frustrating case. It's just such a tragedy that could have been prevented had he just done his friggin' job and checked it. That's what's so irritating about all this. All four of those people, it's not even just Alec, where obviously that's the one people are going to focus on most, but all four of those people should be held responsible for this, for that poor woman and her family. It's heartbreaking, and it's good to see that they're finally moving on this. What's a timeline, you think? How long do you think we'll know until there's charges potentially even done? And then if there are charges, when do they actually usually, how quick is that to sort of move forward, you think?
So my sense is it's going to be a bit longer because this funding request, I think it came out Friday, and we're kind of hearing about it more recently. But she has to get the funding before she can hire the personnel. So now she's got at least an approval of funding. She probably doesn't have the cash in the account yet. Once she's got the cash, the prosecutor, then she can go and hire the personnel, get them ready to go, and then go and file the charges. So I got to imagine we're at least 30 days until all that happens is my sense.
Got it. Okay. Well, interesting. We'll keep you guys posted on that. I appreciate you guys watching. Before we let you go, I did want to mention the fact that we'll touch more upon what happened to Nick and everything else, but I'm curious, Christopher's take on a fellow Christopher, Mr. Christopher Bouzy. I know you haven't been as deep in this, but the Bot Sentinel army, his firm, it seems more and more of LawTube and people have come forward to really sort of look more into this man and his organization. You remember at least that she was doing those research studies with the bots of people online for Amber. He had previously been doing it for Meghan Markle. He was paid by both actresses, the actress. Yeah, they're both actresses, actually. It's true. She was a princess and an actress. Anyway, more and more is being uncovered that this, they're as much as they want to label us harassers for the content we do, it does seem like they're doing some shady practices themselves. And this fellow obviously has not the best. He has a lot of skeletons in his own closet due to potential illegal fraudulent bankruptcies, et cetera, that Nate the lawyer and others have come. But has this hit your radar at all? I'm just curious, Christopher, on the Christopher Bouzy. Are you blocked by him? Do you know? Have you checked?
No, I've seen his tweets and stuff like that, but yeah, I have no connection and no issues, no encounters with Mr. Bouzy.
Yeah, it seems most people are blocked that didn't even engage with him. He just somehow has these filters. The latest, though, is he's now he's celebrating because fellow lawyer Nick Rekieta just got suspended on Twitter. Several employees at Twitter follow me, and yet these low-budget trolls thought it was a good idea to wage on an obvious targeted harassment campaign against the one person who could bring it to their attention. It was always going to end this way. Like, what a menacing, threatening, weird type of tweets to put out in the world from a guy who's literally been threatening all of us this whole time, saying he's coming after us, etc. And then Christopher, I don't know if he went after all of LawTube, which was really silly because I don't know if you saw this. Nate the lawyer, who we have on here a lot as well, we need to connect you guys more often. But Nate the lawyer decided to, after being called, Christopher Bouzy called out Nate the lawyer for saying that he's, making fun of his two crackhead moms. That's how nice Christopher Bouzy is. And then that sort of started this wage back and forth when they were looking into how Bouzy, we call him, did some improper research on Umbrella Guy, etc. He then changed the data and didn't alert anybody. A lot of weird practices. But in going after LawTube, these lawyers decided to realize, well, let's look into you. I haven't even checked recently, but yeah, he's already raised over $32,000 in this lawsuit to pursue against Mr. Bouzy for fraudulent bankruptcy. And he put together a whole filing, and apparently they're already in talks with him. When Mr. Bouzy filed for bankruptcy, he did not declare Bot Sentinel, which was one of his companies. And a lot of lawyers who've now been paying attention to him more closely since he's been calling them out, they're like, well, that's illegal potentially if you actually did that. Yeah, it's just weird to me. Does it surprise you that one of Amber's own crews would have the use the word the hubris to try to attack a whole batch of YouTube and Twitter lawyers? Does that surprise you?
Yeah, like I say, I don't get all this stuff, and I really try just to avoid all that drama. To me, it's just like, hey, put out the information, you put out your point of view, hopefully you back it up with something, and
real data. Yeah.
Yes. And it's just like, hey, we can disagree about stuff. And so I never really understood all of that drama that goes on here, and I've tried to just stay free of it myself.
You're like, I'm tapping out. That's why I said, well, I will let Christopher tap out because he's wise. He's more healthier, keeping himself out of this stupid drama. John John's Venn diagram of desire just tipped $5 and said, I have tickets to the Johnny Depp show in Vegas. Hope to be able to be there at the meet and greet and see you guys. Super excited. This is my birthday present to myself. Well, John, I wanted to read that before Christopher goes because Christopher, I hear you're going to join us in Vegas. Is this true?
Yeah, absolutely. I would not miss that. Yeah.
Yes. So we are going to have, oh, that stopped early. We are going to have a couple meetups. I've been looping Christopher in, but if all goes well, Christopher's planning to attend, and then we'll be there Friday for the show, but our big meetup being that Saturday. So yes, I hope you can, you are officially invited, and I hope you get to be there. A lot of the fans are going to be out there, will be there. I get to meet Kim, Lewis is coming back, Steph's coming back, Amy Goodhart, Vito, Jody, the whole crew. It's going to be amazing. So now Christopher Melcher as well. So excited to see you again. Hopefully I can get you a steak dinner this time. So thank you. But yes, stay tuned for Vegas, guys. Christopher will be there as well. Anything else you want to bring up or mention before we let you go?
No, I like I say, I've been kind of absent for a bit, just been super, super busy with work. And so hopefully I can, get past all these deadlines and then start getting back to commenting on stuff. But it's just, that's what happened to me. I just got busy with my day job.
There he is, Christopher Melcher on Twitter. Yeah, I want to get you. I wish. Are you allowed to respond to how Kanye's going after Adidas and all that stuff, or is that a conflict of interest for you?
Can't touch that.
Damn it! I tried, guys. He's so fascinated to hear those thoughts. Well, there he is, Christopher Melcher. Go follow him on Twitter at @CA_divorce. Give him a follow. He's the best, and you'll be able to see him in Vegas. Woo woo, Vegas, baby! Thank you, sir, so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too. See y'all.
See you
Thank
later.
you, Mr.
All right,
Melcher.
Bye.
Always a pleasure to have him here. I tried, Kim. I was trying.
I'm gonna laugh about that all day.
I've been wanting to talk about the Yeezy's there's a lot of stuff. Some of it kind of smart. Sometimes Kanye gets on top of it and he's good. It'd be so fascinating to hear Christopher's take on those business moves. But yeah, he's previously worked with Kanye. I'm sure it's conflict of interest. He probably can't reveal that information, but I tried, guys. I always will try for you. Jimmy Barton, thank you for the 10 Bouzy bucks. Mace Windu dropped the 225 in Bouzy bucks. Alec, next time, don't be cheap when you bribe. Well, I mean, I'm not saying he did that. I'm just reading a chat. They're alleging that, but they have no proof. Thank you, Mace Windu. Star Wars Mace Windu watching the chat. How amazing.
That's awesome.
Kim, go ahead. But before we think, I'm going to clip it because we had that fun clipping here. Make sure to watch the full stream if you're not a member by hitting the join button. But now I'm just going to cut to the end of the video because if you're not a member, you missed all of it. Well, there you have it. What a fantastic show. We learned so much today. You do not want to miss it. Like I said, hit that join button, become a member, because then you'll be supporting the community. And you'll also be able to watch the replays. So pick a tier you can afford, support, and then join over on the members-only playlist section, and you can watch the full replay of today's show. Thank you. Send all your good thoughts my way. The storm is coming. I'm hoping everything will be good, but if I'm not here, hopefully Steph will be, and we'll keep you updated on things. But the rain is starting to come. It's hitting us. So again, good thoughts, everybody, and everybody out in my Florida peeps. Sending out the love and positivity. We'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for tuning in today, though. And I can't wait to see you guys in Vegas soon. Thank you to Christopher Melcher. Go subscribe to him and everybody else that showed up. Appreciate Vito, etc. We're going to redirect to Nerd Report. He needs his help right now, too, because they just broke into his car. So not right. Go hear it from him. Go support him, please. And we're going to redirect you there right now. Go over to Nerd Report. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys tomorrow, I hope. And if not, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.